Hey, welcome back to the Full Weight of Joy podcast. My name is Tammy. I'm your host, and we are going to continue our talk from last week, from last Thursday. We are going to talk about some more benefits. So, like these are things, life-changing things that happen when you understand yourself more, when you know your zone of genius, when you know your gifts, when you know how you're wired, when you know you deeply know you. And one of the things that I want to hit home here, which is why last time we talked about some personal reasons. We talked about like it provides freedom. Like you know what you should be doing or could be doing, but you know what you need to do. That your inner peace. When you know yourself, you know what allows you to have the inner peace. So you can dive deeper into that. Um, you know how to renew your joy and energy because when you know yourself, you can create the balance. There's some things that we have to do. I get that. There's things that drain our energy that we have to do, but you know how to balance that with something that brings you energy and then brings you joy. Then also this authentic confidence. So it helps you step into who you are because we all want confidence. We all want more confidence. And but really we want this authentic, it's just part of us confidence. And when you know yourself, when you've driven into, like, dove deep into self awareness, then you have the confidence you're looking for. And then I talked about just how it affects your personal relationships and it deepens the relationship because when you know you, then you can rest in your worth. You can rest in what you bring to the table. You can rest in the fact that you can have compassion and grace for yourself and others, and you can connect and you know why you connect with somebody and what you're good at and how you can connect with people. And I have people who I connect with for different reasons. I have a friend who, um, well, she's an Enneagram 6, and I love her dearly. And the one reason why we connect so well is we know we communicate easily together. There's not a lot of fluff in between. Like we're like, hey, how are you? Oh, good. Okay, here's what I need, or here's the detail. What do you think? um, our relationship's just like that. When we both cut out the like, how's the weather? How's the kids? Like we talk about the kids, we talk about the weather, but in different ways. Like we figured out we don't need to communicate that. We can just say after like not talking to each other for a couple of weeks, we'd be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And then I will say, oh, this. And then I'll ask her, how about this? And then she's like, great, talk to you in 2 weeks. I'm like, okay. And so we built our relationship over the last, like, oh my goodness, I think we've known each other for like 12 years now. So we've built this, but by understanding myself, she understands herself, we can bring our best selves and deepen our relationship, even when we live thousands of miles away. Like she's in California, I'm here in Oklahoma. We don't see each other very often, and yet we can still stay in touch. So that's some of the personal reasons. Now let's look at some of the tangible things, some of the things that we can that are like can help in our personal life, but also can help in our professional life. Whether you're a professional like soccer mom making things happen for your kids, and I say that in a way because like your job is so needed. The help you do with the school, the volunteer work that you do, it's still professional. Like just because you're not getting paid for it doesn't mean that it's not like skills you're honing. And if you are entering the workforce, I'm going on a tangent right now. If you are entering the workforce after you've been quote unquote just a stay-at-home mom, I don't know any moms who just stay home. But if you like, don't discredit what skills you've been building. Like your self-awareness is just as important. Understanding your inner genius, your zone of genius, your unique values is just as important, actually more important. And so, though that was a tangent, if you are considering going back into the workforce, know that you haven't been idle or you have a lapse in jobs, like a lapse in professions. Like, no, you have, it looks different. You may not get paid, but you work harder. You're building the skills that you need to run companies and do a lot of other things. So, anyway, that tangent was needed, I felt. Okay. But let's talk about other things like, because, and I want to, I mean, we talked about it, I talked about it at the end of last episode about what happens if you don't. Like the fact that you expend energy you don't get back. If you don't know yourself, if you don't dive into this self-awareness and this purpose and identity and calling, if you don't do the work, this uncomfortable slightly work, you're going to get way more uncomfortable. The impact that you could have made is not going to be made, and you're going to have that on your heart that you could have done more. This more that you desire, this impact and legacy, and this this service and this impact you want to make. If you don't know, if you don't figure out what it is and what's inside of you, then it's going to be an impact that you always wish you did, but you didn't. There's also the joy you might have experienced, the relationships that you could have deepened, the purpose that remains unfulfilled. And this is why it's so important to not only just discover your purpose, but to live it. Like you need to start doing it. Like, no one gets to the deathbed and like, I finally know what I was here on earth to do. Well, great. Did you do it? Well, no, I just figured it out. Like I didn't want to get uncomfortable and actually do it. No one says that. They want, and I know it's deep in your heart, you want to discover this. You want to not only discover, but you want to like feel it. I love watching people who are living their purpose. And I don't want to say living their dream, because I think it goes deeper than that when you're a Christ follower. I think it goes deeper into our core of why we were created. And it's not just a fantasy we want to live. Like this is what fulfills us. It's what lights us up. And if we think of, like, oh, I will do this self-awareness work later, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to miss out on. And so that's why I really wanted to dive in here, and I wanted to share with you this, these key benefits. And I've talked about most of these before, but I'm going to put it all in one episode, one podcast. That way you can see that like it just builds on each other, like this and this and this, and that it's all from getting uncomfortable one time and figuring out how you're wired, figuring out what brings you energy, figuring out what your core values are. Like it's not, and I say it's uncomfortable because sometimes asking ourselves those real questions, we have to look at what we've really been doing and what we really want to be doing. We have to look at how we've been using our time and how we should be using our time. And if it's not getting you closer to the purpose you were called to do, then you have to face the fact that, like, have I been wasting my time? And I want to tell you no. Like, I want to be upfront with everything can be used for good. Everything, every decision you've made. And it may not be your fault that you did not discover your inner strengths, but now it's your responsibility to figure it out, because if God called you to do it, you best do it. If he called you to it, you best do it. And that's kind of what I tell myself too. Every time I want to try something, and I don't share a lot of my messiness. And it's not because I don't have messiness, not because I don't fail on the regular. I'm actually, this year, I'm committed to failing a little bit more, like leaning more into some of the uncomfortable things that God's like, hey, Tammy, it's time. So and I'm going to share more of my journey because I want you to see that no one has it all figured out. That I've been doing this, like this podcast, episode number 286, I've been doing 4 years, and there's still things, like I went to an intro to podcasting class and I still learned things that I'm like, oh, like this is really beneficial. Okay. And I get to back to the core reason of why I do this, and just reinforces that, like, no, I still want to do it. I love this. I love coming to you week after week and having these conversations. And I love even more when I get to talk to you in person. And I love even more when we get to chat, which is why I'm doing the Ask Me Anything. So this episode will come out on a Monday. Thursday, this coming Thursday, the 23rd, it'll be the day after my birthday. My birthday's on the 22nd. But I'm going to do the monthly Ask Me Anything, where you come and let's hang out and let's just talk. Like, there's not going to be an agenda. If I need to ask a question or two to get things going, like, I'll do that. But really, let's just chat. Let's talk about these things that have that have come up. Let's talk about some of the journal prompts I've given you in the podcast notes. Let's talk about some of these tenets and the elements of self-awareness that you may not have heard of before that are key. And they're actually kind of fun to learn about yourself. But so one thing I had planned to have the link and like being able to, here's the landing page, you can go to it and sign up. I am going to do a one-time link because I learned my lesson about putting a bunch of links in public places for Zoom. And I was reinforced today when a friend of mine, she was on a really big like free webinar from another coach, and multiple people, like one organization, broke in and started playing nefarious things. Like I won't go into detail. I don't know what the guy's name is that the webinar was hosting it. But no, it was really nefarious. It was really like she backed out instantly. She left because she did not want to see that. She did not want it on our computer. It was wildly inappropriate. And so that is why, like, I'm not going to put a lot of links on this. This is why, like, you ask for it, I will send it to you directly. So either send me a DM on Instagram or LinkedIn. I will put it in the show notes for this episode. But if you want a reminder, you got to get on my email list because that's how I'm going to remind you. And then for now on, it will be a link that you can get through the email or through I'll get it to you. But things are not working as fast as I would like them sometimes. Tech stuff is crazy. Have you been to my new website, like TamiImlayCoaching.com? It is updated. I love it. And I'm so excited. Like go and check that out. Please go and tell me what you think. I'm going to make a couple more changes to it, like as we go, as I get more clear on wording and things, all the stuff. But that stuff doesn't matter. And then also, by the time this airs, my quiz to find out, how self-aware are you? Because a recent study talks about how of the people polled, 90% of the people said that they are self-aware. And then when they started asking them questions and diving more into it, 10% actually qualified as self-aware. 10 out of 90%. Like you had 10% who said, no, I admit I'm not very self-aware. And then you had like 90% who's like, yeah, I know me. And then when they started asking questions, they didn't. So this is my push, I dare you, I double dog dare you to go and find out how self-aware are you. So it's TamiImlayCoaching.com/quiz. That's it. But you go and do that and take it and see how self-aware are you, because it's a good place to see where you're starting off. What would, and I've identified 14 elements that if you know these 14 things, you are incredibly self-aware. If you know 7 of the things, you are pretty self-aware. If you only know 2 or 3 of these things, you might have a little work to do, and don't feel bad. I didn't know all of those until I got into this world and started intentionally doing it. But let's talk about the reasons why it's important that we are self-aware, why we understand our strengths, our core avoidances, our weaknesses, our motivations, our gifts, our talents, our strengths, all these things, like why it's important to know these. And so some of them I've talked about it before, and some of them they'll be new-ish. Nothing groundbreaking here, but it's really just a reminder that it's worth it. So the first one is clear decision-making. How many times have you talked about, like, I just don't make good decisions, or I wish I made a better decision? We will never have all of the information to make a decision. Even when it seems like we do, sometimes it's like, well, I don't know, like, because we don't know how things work out. There's a lot of factors that we can't account for, right? Even if you're an Enneagram 6 and you're really good at accounting for factors. But if you know yourself, you know your tendencies, you can filter opportunities more effectively. You can filter the decisions, and you're like, instead of being drawn to what your natural tendency is that gets you the same outcome, you can say, okay, this is be natural. tendency, but this is, I think I'm going to try this because this is more aligned with the outcome that I want. So you'll be able to notice that. And without recognizing that, like who you are and what your natural tendencies are, you can't make that determination. The next is the authentic marketing. You may not be a marketer and you may be like, Tami, I'm not in business. I am just I'm a mom who volunteers, or I am like I'm an operations director. I'm an operations director. Like that's not, I don't need to worry about marketing, but you do. Okay. So this is something that like hit me as well is you are always selling and marketing something. Always. Most of the time it's yourself. So when you know your strengths, you can communicate it naturally. You can portray it, you can bring it up, you can feel confident talking about it, you understand your unique value proposition and the value you bring to the team, to this organization, to your work. You can use that information to get a promotion or to get another position that better aligns with you or that challenges you more, but you are always selling or marketing something. And so when you can do this through data, through facts of like, no, I know this is where I shine. I know this is my strength. Let me prove it to you. Let me show you how this is, how I've already been doing this. It becomes less emotional and more logical. It becomes less like, oh, what about me? And more like, this is what I bring to the table. And you can stand in that confidence, which is the next thing, which I did talk about last week, that the authentic confidence. Well, this one is the increased. We can work that muscle because when you can lean on natural tendencies and when you know that it's just innate within you, that then you can pull that off. You're wearing that cloak of confidence of like, I know my value. I know what I'm good at. I know what I can figure out, and I can figure out the rest. So that increased confidence that you know exactly where you stand. You can speak with conviction. Your perspective matters. When you understand the work that went behind and how you developed that perspective, that's not just an easy, like things we downplay because we don't realize how much it is our natural strength. I guarantee you've been honing that strength for years. So if you are a director and you want a VP position, or you are a VP and you want to start your own company, or you want to be a CEO, then when you understand your like who you are, the things that you bring to the table, it changes things. The way you show up is different, and there's not the having to prove yourself because you've already proved it because you're bringing in evidence. So the increased confidence comes from evidence that's already happened versus like trying to prove what you're capable of. You can bring it. And then next is better boundaries. I have talked to many of you who have said, yeah, I don't have boundaries. That used to be me as well. Because in my misguided thoughts is like, well, I wanted, like, I'm able to help people. I'm able to, like, if I don't want to inconvenience anyone, so let me reduce my boundaries. Let me not even have any boundaries. And it got to the point where I was so worried about inconveniencing others that I would greatly inconvenience myself, and I would wear myself out and burn myself out. And so being able to focus your energy on your zone of genius will help you set boundaries of, this is something I'm not really good at. The tech stuff, I used to be able to, I just don't have the time to sit and learn it. And it's not something I want to spend my energy. So I was able to find my who and hire someone who is like, okay, Tami, I got this. I'll do it. I was able to, and he's great. I love working with him, and you're gonna get to meet him more. He's only been working with me since like right before Thanksgiving, so we're still early. But he is helping me crank out tech like nobody's business. Like right now, he is going through all of the emails and all of the steps for the quiz to make sure that it gets to where it needs to go. That it's a smooth process for you. And so that's what he's doing while I sit and I get to do my zone of genius, which is talk to you and let you know how important it is that you know yourself. Okay. Stronger client relationships. Now, I want you to think of clients in a bigger realm. I want you to think of anyone that you affect. This is you can think of it because even if you are like clients can be personal or professional. Like this is people who need something from you or you need something from them. Like this is that this the relationships when you understand yourself more, you can you can give them your zone of genius. You can tell them what's possible. But then also you can rest and you know what you're capable of. Let me tell me what you are like, what do you bring to the table? Like, how can I help you? How can like tell me how you can help me. Like it's just a stronger relationship there when you know yourself. Um, you also can find people who value your specific approach. And you can create a deeper impact with the people around you. Um, Enhanced growth when you know where you're starting out and you know where you want to go. I know one of the areas in my natural tendency, I'm an Enneagram 1, is I try to improve things. There's things that don't need improving, that I don't need. And so that's an area that I ask myself. I have like a little decision tree in my mind of, is this something that I should be improving or I need to let alone? Is it my responsibility or not? And so by understanding myself, I can answer that. And I can say, you know what? It's fine the way it is. It's not my responsibility to make it better, which relieves me. It allows me to have better boundaries. It allows me to protect my energy and put it more towards like my family and my relationships that I just want to be with versus trying to fix. And then you get to build on your existing strengths strategically. When you know what you're good at, when you know, like if you discover like, man, I am really good at event coordinating or event planning, then you can lean into that more. And so when they ask like, hey, we need help with childcare or we need help with the marketing of this, and you're like, you know what? That's not my strength. Let me go ahead and like, let me find someone who's really good at that for you so I can focus on what I do really well. Or if you find out that, you know, I really want to learn marketing more, then you can say, okay, well, like I'm not very good at it and I'm going to learn. Like you can choose that professional development, that growth. And then the next is just team dynamics. It, we are all humans. We are all stressed at times. We are all healthy at times, or hopefully we're healthy at more times than we're stressed. But the team dynamics, when you know you, and you can remove some of the emotional ties, when you can kind of reduce the tension and the like, you know, like, okay, this is, I get that this aggravates me. You're able to communicate it better. And also when you know to delegate effectively. When you know what you're good at when you're not. And you know, like, okay, Susie is really good. John is really good at systems. Let me talk to him about the best way to do it so then I can keep organizing this. It works, but it brings that team, because then now that team members feel valued and you're going to work together. And instead of like you're working with two other people, instead of like 3xing, you're like 50xing your effectiveness. And so, and you build the complementary partnerships. You don't need two people with the same strengths on a team. That actually would probably cause more tension. So when you understand yourself, you know what team you would work best on. And then you can say, like, hey, we already have someone who's really good at systems. I would really like to go to this other team that is more, you know, that I can learn marketing from them, but then I can help them put systems into place. Like it's copacetic, like it works, and you elevate everything when you know yourself better. And then you also lead from your natural strengths instead of the collective weaknesses of the group. And you can lean into your strength. And I'm telling you, like, even the person, like in team dynamics, if everyone's leading from their strengths, if they're leaning in with their strengths versus their weaknesses or trying to compensate for the weaknesses, you're going to have a better product overall. And then just a greater impact when you focus your efforts on where you can make the most difference. It's the impact, the significance. Success is important, sure. But I don't think you'd be listening to this podcast if success was your main goal. If you were success at all costs and you just want the private jet and you just want the lavish lifestyle, then most likely this podcast would not, you would not be listening to it, because I talk about how we need to know ourselves and we need to make the impact. We're called to serve. And so when you know yourself, you know where you can most impact others. And then you can just serve at a higher level that increases your energy and doesn't decrease. Again, I talked about how I could go work in, like, I could volunteer with the kids' ministry. I do a lot better when I'm working on mentorship for the women and helping them with goal setting and helping them understand their team dynamics. It that's my zone of genius. And so what is yours? If I asked you, what are you really good at? Do you know? Do you want to know? Because that's what I can help you with. That is Align and Shine is coming. And then this is like the Purpose Accelerator incubator, like our lab. Like, we're going to go through in 8 weeks, like, and you're going to get to be with other other women who also want to make a greater impact. These are successful women who want to turn their success into significance, and they want to understand how they can do it authentically. That's what we're doing. So if you're interested in that, like, get on a call. Let's do this. Because that greater impact and that legacy, that fulfillment, is what we're looking for. And then I have increased profitability. Stay with me here as well, because as I was thinking about this, the profitability doesn't necessarily mean money. It means greater in whatever outcome you're looking for will be more effective, more profitable, it will be more with less, because you're leaning into your strengths versus trying to compensate for something that doesn't even light you up, something that you shouldn't be doing in the first place, or just because you can doesn't mean you should. And then the last one that I want to talk about really quickly, because this one's so important to me, is this personal fulfillment. I want to serve, yes, but I want to experience joy when I'm doing it. And I don't mean that if I'm not working hard, like, I just want it easy and I want it to be like, I want no effort. No, some of the hardest things I've done brought me the most joy and fulfillment. Some of the biggest leaps and the uncomfortable things I've done brought me the most joy and fulfillment. And I know that because I was able to know, like, what part of me does it speak to? Where am I not very good at? And where is God asking me to get uncomfortable and trust Him? And then I know what to take to God when I know myself, because I know the holes that He's left. And He's left some big thing, big thorn in the flesh that I have to continue to go to Him for. And so it also creates this meaning work-life integration, whereas this fulfillment is more about, like, I love having weekly craft hour with my daughter. Like, we do craft times, and we're actually talking about, she's reading To Kill a Mockingbird right now. And I was like, when you're done reading the book, the movie was really good too. And she's like, oh, maybe we can watch it during our next, when we do our craft together. And I was like, sounds like a great idea. Like, we can build that bond, and we can integrate, because she's learning it in school, as well as something that we can do together. And so it just builds that deeper relationship. It's more fulfilling because it's hitting multiple areas that light me up and then light her up. We wouldn't have known that to pair those together if we didn't figure out who we are. And yes, like, there's things that I do with my daughter. She's 14, almost 15. She's going through puberty and all of that. So there's times that she doesn't know who she is, but there's things that she does know. She's an Enneagram 4, so she is very aware of a lot of things, which makes it fun for conversations. And how did you feel when your friend said that? Or, oh, what do you want to do next? Like, oh, we can have these conversations. And it talks about, like, well, what was your instinct about it? Like, what did you want to say, and why didn't you say it, or what did you say? And by talking about it from a perspective of, like, what's your natural tendencies, we're able to deepen our relationship. And so not only understanding who you are helps you personally, but also helps you make the impact that you want. And so, and I hope that this is like resonating with you because um, these are things that I know that you want. I know that, and you don't want to be burnt out. You don't want to be overworked. We want the balance of we want to work hard and hard by like we want to do the thing, but then we also want to rest and we want to enjoy the fact that we did the thing. We don't want to keep searching for the thing we have to do. We don't want to like this create this we don't want to be burnt out. We don't want to pour so much of the cup. Someone mentioned, I don't remember where it was, but she's like, my cup is so empty that I don't even know where the cup is at this point. And I was like, it just broke my heart because I asked her a couple questions and I can see that she's in the right. She wants to do good, but she says yes to everything. And so, which means that she doesn't even know why. She just, and just going and going and going. Um, and so it's just having a conversation and asking her a couple questions. And she's like, I'm allowed to say no to that. I'm like, yeah, you are. And you know what? It's because there's someone else who can say yes to it. So it's not selfish. And so I just wanted to bring this to your attention. I just wanted to bring this and like let you know that this self development work that you are doing matters. It'll help you make that impact. It'll help you serve. It'll help you feel more fulfilled, find your peace, have your joy, and it will help you impact the greater good. Because when you shine your light and when you step into who God's called you to be, others can do that as well. And so that is my mission. That is my goal. Is I want to help you. I want to help you see you and how God wired you. I want to go through those elements of self-awareness with you. And if you're interested, if you want to know in like this 8-week, I do have a special founders price. So the first time, and if you're interested in this, and I'm limiting it to 10. I was going to do 15, but I think I'm going to limit it to 10 spots, and that's it. Excuse me, 10 spots. And so if you are interested in one of those 10 spots, if you think that like these things that I talked about, if you want these in your life and you want them quickly, you want them effectively, and you want them real, get on a call with me and let's talk, because I know that this will work. I know it because I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in a lot of my clients' lives. These are things that we've done. This journey, as I have a framework. It's a step-by-step process, and we can go through it together. And we do it personalized, so it's in a group, but it's in a group that we can grow together with. So get on my calendar if you're interested. Come and hang out with me next week. Look in the show notes, 11:30 Central Standard Time on Thursday, the 23rd. And then after this, it's going to be we're going to try it out for a couple months. I'm a firm believer, try it for a couple of months before you scrap it. So the fourth Thursday of every month is going to be my Ask Me Anything. Like, let's hang out. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but Ask Me Anything works. Like, let's come and just hang out. And I will do laser coaching, which means like we will get, depending on how many people are there, I'll get to as many people as I can. If you're not able to come, you can always send me an email with the question and I will get it back to you. But I want to serve you. I want you to see how amazing you are and how if you lean into your self-awareness a little bit in 2025, it will pay dividends for you for the rest of your life. And so those are two opportunities that I have for you coming up. Also in early February, I have a workshop that is we're going to talk about like how to lean into your confidence a little bit more. And how to get the confidence that you're looking for. And so we're going to talk about that because, and again, like I've mentioned in the last 2 episodes, like this one and the last one, that self-awareness leads to increased confidence and more authentic confidence. So I want that for you. All right, friend, I am going to go now. Choose joy until joy chooses you, and I will see you next week. All right, bye for now.